Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the AP Microeconomics series on AP for Teens. Today, we're going to be discussing specialization and comparative advantage, continuing on the topics that we were discussing in the previous video. Now, last time on the series, we were talking about what opportunity cost is. We learned what a production possibility curve or production possibility frontier looks like and its use, and we also graphed. Whoop-de-doo. Graphing is a really important part of micro, and we're going to keep reiterating graphs over and over again because it's necessary, it's vital. Now, in this episode, we're going to be discussing something based off of the previous one. We're going to talk about trading, not stock trading, mind you. We're going to be talking more about actual good-for-good trading. We're going to learn about specialization, and we're going to learn about the two types of advantages, not tennis advantages, different advantages. And we're also going to graph some more. Don't groan. We have to do them. It's unfortunate, but it's a vital necessity. So, with that, let's get started. Now, take a what-if scenario. Think about your favorite athlete. All right, insert their name there. Your favorite athlete, whether in soccer, basketball, football, hockey, tennis, any other sport. Okay? Insert that favorite athlete there. And then think about your favorite actor, whether it's in action movies, thrillers, horrors, comedies, everything, your choice. Insert that actor there. Now picture if each person did both jobs. So for example, your favorite athlete was also an actor. Your favorite actor was also an athlete. They both had to do them part-time. So they couldn't do it full-time. They had to do it part-time. So you wouldn't see the basketball player playing the 80 plus games in the season. They'd play 40. You wouldn't see the actor doing all of the movies that they would normally do, the 3 or 4 movies that they might do in a year. They only do 1 or 2. How do you think they would do? Do you think they'd be just as successful as they are right now? Or do you think that they might be struggling? Well, continuing on that what if, chances are they're probably going to be less productive in their better job. For every Michael Jordan in Space Jam, you're going to have other people, other athletes that aren't quite as good in that film, and vice versa. They wouldn't be successful in the other career either. You don't see Morgan Freeman ending up playing football, although that'd be an interesting sight to see. This is the concept of division of labor, where people develop expertise in the tasks that they focus on. If you're good in one thing and your friend's good in another, you shouldn't split the task evenly between you two, but focus on what you do best to get the task done quicker and to finish off the job quickly. Now, to build off of that, we start talking about advantages. Absolute advantage is when a country can produce a good using fewer resources per output than another country. Comparative advantage is slightly different. When a country can produce a good at a lower opportunity cost than another compared country, that has comparative advantage. Typically, each country, when you're doing trade, the reason why trade is happening is because one country has a comparative advantage in one good and the other has a comparative advantage in another, even if one country could have an absolute advantage in both. Are you a little confused? Do you need an example? Let's give one right now. Let's take a scenario between two different countries, Great Britain and Argentina. Great Britain will compare cheese and potatoes because why not cheese and potatoes? Vital necessities of any diet. Now, Great Britain has the ability to produce at maximum 400 units of cheese. We're going to use units, you could use pounds or tons or whatever. And Great Britain also has the potential to at maximum have 400 units of potatoes. Argentina, on the other hand, has the maximum capacity of 300 units of cheese and 150 units of potatoes. So with all of this data in mind, who has the absolute advantage? Who has the comparative advantage? The graphs are seen right there. Now, absolute advantage would assume that both countries have the same amount of resources. So we're going to assume that even though Great Britain is slightly more developed than Argentina, we're going to assume that they both have the same resources for these two products. Great Britain, in this case, has an absolute advantage in both cheese and potatoes. If you notice, Great Britain has 400 units of cheese and 400 units of potatoes. Argentina only has 300 and 150 respectively. In both situations, Great Britain has more stuff. They can do more and make more with less of a resource. They can increase their efficiency. Now, comparative advantage requires us to calculate the opportunity cost. How much do you have to give up of one good in order to get another one? When Great Britain gives up one cheese, they can make one more potato. And when they give up one potato, they can make one more cheese. However, with Argentina, it's slightly different. When Argentina gives up one cheese, they can make half a potato. However, when Argentina gives up one potato, they can make 2 more cheese. So with a chart, because typically with opportunity cost and comparative advantages, you can use a chart to notice this. this chart looks a lot more easier to understand than all of those words on the previous page. You can see the comparison between different types of opportunity costs. Now, which country has lower opportunity costs for each good? Pause the video for a quick second just to figure it out in case you haven't already. If you can hear the clock in the background, that probably helps time. Okay. The answer? Those are your answers. Argentina is better at making cheese. They give up less to make it. The same argument goes for Great Britain and potatoes. Therefore, Argentina has a comparative advantage in making cheese because it costs them less potatoes to make a cheese. And Great Britain has a comparative advantage in making potatoes because it costs them less cheese to make a potato. So what's the point? What's the use of all of this comparative advantage jargon? Well, if the two countries went solo and wanted to produce as much as they could of each good, this is how it would end up. Great Britain would produce 200 of each, Argentina would produce 150 cheese, 75 potatoes, and they'd be on their way. But if the two countries traded for a good ratio, like 60 cheese for 40 potatoes, then you could see Great Britain and Argentina end up with more of each good, regardless of what they are. Great Britain adds 20 more cheese, 20 more potatoes, and Argentina gets 30 more cheese and 5 more potatoes. That's pretty good, and that's because of trading. Instead of working solo, they traded to be able to get a comparative advantage useful and be able to add additional resources for their country. So the lesson of the day that you should take from this, trading is a good thing for countries, which is why nearly every country does it, and that's why you see an increase in free trade policies and lower tariffs and other things like that. Because trading, for the most part, especially with different comparative advantages, is really, really useful. If trading is done correctly, then both countries can be better off. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the AP Microeconomics series on AP for Teens. If you like this video or any of the other videos on the channel, please subscribe, leave a comment in the section below as well as liking the video, answer the question in the section below as well. Thank you very much for watching and take care.